And I should be out. No fill yet, weirdly. Still no fill. I don't know. Could that be a good
ALLK,
thing?
Alicos spiking to the highs at $6.31 now, up 48% for
Okay.
Lima Kilo.
Good thing.
I would cancel that order.
Well, it says it got the 631, but I'm at 626 and it didn't fill me. Hey, what's up, traders? So as you can see, some weird stuff going on with ALLK. And as you can see now with the finished PNL, worked out in my favor. Should have been down had my stop loss got triggered, a little bit over $400. However, it didn't fill us. And I was very confused, as you could see in the video. But I was happy that it worked. We'll go over it real quick. ALLK. So a lot to be learned from this trade as well. I also tried a long here like an idiot because we can talk about that real quick. It just came straight down right to that previous resistance. It started to build some support there. I was like, well, this is going to get at least a bounce somewhere into the 520s. That's all I was looking for. I was just risking the 580 break. So when it came down into the 580s, I decided to add. I only took 50 shares out of 50 shares, knowing that if it broke by 79, I'd be risking $20, which is what I lost, 1950. I was green for a second there, but when it came back up through 5, I was really expecting to pop up to 520. Wasn't looking for pennies there. I was actually looking to make a little decent amount off of the bounce of the straight down move. But as you can see, decided to keep going straight down. After that, it did try to move a little bit higher, but it is what it is. But on to this trade over here. The first trade we took, we used our DC button. So we ended up with 64 shares, came back and we had an order out, I believe at like 55 or something like that. It went to 61, popped back up to the highs. And I put my order back out at 61. I think I even moved it up to 62 or 63 and we just couldn't get filled. And you can see it went to 63.01. And then I started to climb higher. So at this point, I was like, you know what? Let's just see what it does at the highs because the $5 whole dollar is right there. Maybe it'll reject that and give us the move back down. And that ended up being the first mistake. Should have just cut this at the highs, taken the small loss. And if I wanted to get back in, I could have got back in, right? That's the theory behind it. But instead, I end up adding 64 here. So it gives us that 128. And at this point, I'm like, you know what? If it decides to go a little bit higher, I'm going to try to even out my shares to 200. So I can get like more of like a 1-2 add. And I will also have even shares now because I was looking at 128 and I'm like, oh, this is silly. So I end up adding 32 here, which should have been 22 to get to the 150, which is what I was actually aiming for. But when I messed up, I was like, oh, well, I'm at 160 now. Let me just add another 40 and it'll put me at 200. So that's what I did. Now, I'm okay with that. Like it was my plan. I just messed it up. I was really just trying to get the 150, ended up at 200. So it was a little bit bigger than I probably should have been. And on top of that, I probably shouldn't have did that anyway. I should have just left it, right? Who cares if it's an odd size? I can deal with that as I'm covering. The next problem was this, it spiked up through 550. It didn't actually get the 578 at this point. It was at like 555 or something like that. So I actually hit this on the way down for another 100 shares. So now I have the bulk of my ads pretty close together, right? So if this were to continue and we need to add more size, more shares, I'm going to be in trouble because I already have a decent amount, more than I should, right? I should have at this point, I should still only have 128 shares, but now I have 300, more than double that. So when it continues up, it gets to 592 and I try, or no, this isn't where I try, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to add another 100. At this point, I've been told by two people, David and Thomas, that they're having buying power issues with Interactive Brokers. And Thomas told me that he couldn't get more than 600 shares. And I was already at 400. And I'm pretty sure he has a little bit more in his account than I do. So I was like, well, crap. So as it comes up, it tries to pull back, doesn't get down to our average, which at this point I think is like 521 or something below where it was. It didn't even really come close. And it starts to go back up. And maybe it was 538. Yeah, I think it was 538 because I remember saying it bounced off our average at some point. Maybe it was right here when it went to 540. I think it was. So I think our average was at 538. It goes back up. I try to add 200. Doesn't let me. And keep in mind, I was trying to add this at like 615. Didn't let me. So as it's dropping, I try 100 and it gives me the 100, but I get filled at 596. Not that that probably mattered too much, but it did bring our average up to like 550 exactly, I think. And then I was like, well, how many shares can I add? So I tried 50, didn't let me. So I tried 25 and it let me. So we were basically maxed out on buying power. And when you add 525 times the current average that I had, it came to like $11,000. And I have 30,000 in my account. So I was a little frustrated because that means the 100% that it was showing us here was actually more like 300%. And it's very frustrating when we run into these situations because it's like, how am I running out of buying power? And I felt like I hadn't even really built that much size. Like you're talking 500 shares and I can't short anymore on a $6 stock. It's kind of crazy. So I tried to add more than I could get here at a higher price. So it kind of fudged my average a little bit. But the kicker was it tried to pull back, didn't quite pull back. And at this point, I was like, well, I can't add to it anymore. So it's pointless to let it go through high of day, right? If I'm letting it go through high of day at this point because it hasn't pulled back yet, it's because I can still play it higher if I wanted to. In this case, I couldn't. So why would I let it just continue to keep going higher, and possibly become even like really parabolic and go like up through 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, who knows? I mean, obviously I would hit my max loss at that point, but what it does instead goes to supposedly 631. We had a stop, as you saw in the intro, at 626. For our full size, it was a market order, a market stop. It never gets triggered. It never fills us. Right after that, it shoots down and comes all the way down to our average, starts bouncing around. You can see 550. Our average was 552 at this point. It was like 551.6. And then it finally goes down through the $0.50. We get some off under there, which is the majority. I only took 100 here, so we still had 425 left. I take 325 here at 547. I put that order out and it kept hitting 548, and then it finally came down and gave us the fill. And at this point, I told myself, if it starts to curl at all, that was such a straight drop that I'm not going to let this go back against us, even with 100 shares, because the odds are it's going to at least try that 580 area, which at 552, that's $30 I'm giving back. And what if it just goes back to the highs? I didn't feel like dealing with this trade anymore at this point because of what I went through. But as you can see, we pretty much top tick that. We get filled at 57, it goes to 59, it tries again, gets to 60, and then it pretty much gets stuffed and just dies the rest of the day, which led us to that long trade because there was no real pullback at all. And there still really hasn't been. You can see every time, besides this little guy here, it hasn't really bounced at all. So pretty frustrating overall trade on that one. We did end up green on the short, just barely, and then we gave it all back on the red one, which I was telling the guys in the room, I was like, I don't mind giving $20 back, knowing that I basically was gifted $400 without me getting stopped out at the top there. So I don't really know what happened there, but it happened and it worked out in my favor. I guess I just can't really say that I am super unlucky anymore. Snap was a trade that we actually started in the pre-market. Pretty big move. I think it was on some rumors of like job cuts and some kind of filing. I don't remember, but started a real small, took 24 shares, added 24. So we were 50 or 48 shares. Went into the open with it because obviously we didn't get a pullback. Just threw the order out there. This was actually a fake wick because we actually didn't get filled at first. And the price was still up near 11. And then it came down and got us at 92. So pretty boring one there on Snap. BHC, this was kind of another frustrating one. Didn't get our ad because this one we were actually trying to be patient. Should have been a little bit more patient with this ad, but kind of felt like the top. Got 100 shares here, no pullback, went higher. Got to 607.5, got the ad at 603, no pullback. Went up higher to 633. Probably could have been okay adding some shares here. Just after I actually, this is when I was getting out of, I believe, Snap or Checkpoint, ChargePoint. I don't remember. I was getting out of another trade when this broke. And by the time it broke, it just started going straight down. And it wasn't all real fast. It was just like a steady, like 620, 610, 6, 590. And it was like, it didn't like give me any chance to really get an ad because I was watching it and I was like, all right, if this bounces back up to like 620, I'm going to get my ad in. Because I probably would have got an ad at like 622, 620, something like that as it broke this candle, looking for that to be the top. However, that didn't happen. And as you can see, this came pretty much right down to our average. I don't remember what our average was, but I know it was pretty much right where we took some off, because I think we actually took some off for a loss. It does give us that pop back up to 620. We had some at 618, gives us a drop back down. We take some more off. I think our average at this point after that ab was like 603, 604 maybe. So we take some off for a small win, and then it starts to go back up and we take the rest off, I believe for like a dollar loss. It was like a 1 cent loss. So another frustrating one there on BHC. And then charge point was the last one. This one was just looking for a bigger move down. Didn't really give us much of a pullback, but I was dealing with all the other stuff. It's actually back up at the highs. What is going on here? There we go. But made a decent little move. Got short, looking for 1650 to reject. Went up to 72. We were short at 55. I believe I was short at 55 before it made the move to 72. Starts to come back down through the $0.50. Was looking for more. I believe we had an order out at like 20, like low 20s, looking for this retest down here of 16. It only got to 31. I tried dragging my order up to 31 to see if it would come back down and give us the fill. It didn't, and it started to go back up, and I took it off for break even. And as you can see, it did go higher after that. Would have worked if I just stayed in it, because if I would have been waiting for the actual pullback. But I remember I was dealing with ALLK at this point, and I was like, nah, I'm just going to take it off and be done with it. So pretty frustrating day. Another red day, down $9, which isn't a big deal. We were actually green before I took the stupid long on ALLK, but it is what it is. Going to close out August. What a crazy month. If we take this off real quick, we'll go full screen and take a look at the month. Just don't really understand what happened this month. I actually haven't added these trades yet. Let me add them real quick. And we will go ahead and go over it. 083122. For anybody that's interested in this, I was going to just take a quick look at the month and see how we did. But it's funny because this month was actually crazy, because our profit factor was actually up, but like it was up near 3 for a while, but our win percentage was way down. But I got a feeling today probably messed that up a little bit with the profit factor. Let's see, date this month. Still a really good month, right? Still made $664. Look at our win percentage versus our profit factor. Just weird. So weird. We had a lot of close calls though, with stocks that went pretty far against us, and we came back and didn't really make much off of them. But I will say I've been trying to make more off of the ones that we build the size on. It's just when they come back, they're not really, our average just isn't high enough. So we've been taking them off for a little bit less than we probably would want to. So 75% win rate over the course. We had 113 trades. And there was some decent losses in there, but a lot of our losses, if you've noticed, have been so much smaller. And if we go to the calendar real quick, you'll see that we did end up having 5 red days. However, those red days were all pretty small, right? But our green days, you can see we still had good green days, 80, 83, 84, 90, 50, 61, 51, 40, 80, 56, 47, 53. And our biggest red day was only $52, 78 cents, $27, $9, $38. So to me, something is working. Yes, today could have been a big red day, but it wasn't. Did we get lucky? I feel like that's the first time I've ever actually gotten lucky since I've started trading, where something happened that was complete luck that actually worked out in my favor. And it was a $400 luck box, I guess is what you could call it. However, the other trades, it was just a matter of we did get down, but we managed to trade, even if it was wrong sometimes. And I really need to beat it into my head with these trades to be more patient on my ads. Because it's like every time I get a little bit further down than I'd like, it's because I wasn't patient with the ads. So I really need to start focusing on that. And maybe we can start to get some actual, just the end of this month. I don't know what it was. I did start trading, I believe, on the 15th, the new way with the nibbles. I think I'm pretty sure it was on the 15th. I'd have to go back and check that. But ever since then, I mean, you could see we were doing fine at first, but it was like something just changed. And it was like we just weren't getting like the pullbacks that we were accustomed to and all that good stuff. But That's all I got. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I always appreciate that support. If you do have any questions or comments or just anything that you'd like to say, feel free to leave it down below. You can always find me in Discord or over on Twitter. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.